Welcome to the Good Morning from the Chicken Coop podcast with Kim Johnson, your creative strategist and master mindset coach. Filled with inspiration, distinctions, perspectives, and possibilities, we help you to cultivate a mindset that leads you to create the best version of yourself you could ever imagine. Join Kim every morning from one of her favorite happy places, her chicken coop, along with all her chickens.
Hey everybody, good morning from the chicken coop. So I'd like to talk to you about contrast and how contrast affects us as human beings. You know, having crappy things happen, having things that are not what we want show up in our life, not even just crappy, but just things that we don't necessarily want show up in our life, is actually a powerful tool that's given to us so that we can recognize contrast. And I often will hear people talk to me about how the most painful experiences have shaped them the most and in the best ways. And I myself can say that is the truth. Losing my father, he was so young, he was 57 when he passed away, was the most difficult experience I have ever gone through in my life. And it's something words can't explain when you lose a parent that's also your best friend. And I can say without question that it was the hardest thing that I've ever gone through. And at the same time, it was one of the most profound experiences that shaped my life in positive ways. And the contrast of life with him and without him, and the contrast of recognizing how valuable life is, has definitely, without a question, shaped my entire life, because it changed the way I functioned, it changed what I was willing to do, it changed how I showed up, the roles I took, the jobs I took, it took everything, because I had a different point of reference to go from. And when you use contrast to your benefit, and you start to say, okay, this is here to help me instead of hurting me, it's kind of like the difference between night and day. If we just had night all the time, we'd be miserable. How many of us even realize that when we think about, oh, yeah, I could never live in Alaska, or I could never live in countries where it's dark for half the year. Like, that would make me crazy. Well, of course it would, because the contrast of thinking of it all the time shifts you into a deep awareness. Yet we go through this every day, night, day, and because we're used to it and the contrast is not grand for us, we don't even notice it. We just go through our lives not even noticing it. But think about what happens when it rains every day for 2 weeks straight. We just went through one of those phases, and when it rained every day for 2 weeks straight, you kind of become like, oh my gosh, where's the sun? Where on a normal day, we may appreciate the sun, but we don't even notice it. We just go about our day. Oh, it's a nice day, blah, 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 whatever. But it's a quick. It's not even, thought of or appreciated until it's gone. You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone, is the old saying. Well, isn't that the truth? But that's really the root of that comes from understanding contrast and how it shows up in your life. Or you look at yourself and you say, my relationship sucks, and I don't like how this person treats me, or my boss is this way. And then you meet somebody that actually has a problem that's really out of control, and you say, wow, I guess my situation is not so bad at all. But we become accustomed to sitting in this swill of complaining about it, and we don't use contrast to our benefit. We don't say, okay, if this is going to be painful, then I'm going to do everything I can to work through and around this. I'm going to get to the other side of this. This is here to teach me. So when you think of the situations as if they're teaching you something, giving you information, which they are, helping you shape and move, then all of a sudden you become a much better person. You become much more beneficial to yourself. You don't react. You're not in a high reactive mode. All you're doing at that point is taking in the information and shifting, and not being reactive. So I think that when you start to look for contrast in your day, Start with the most simple things. Start to look for the things that say, you know, where is this showing up to teach me something? Where can I look outside of myself and say, okay, this is something that I recognize, I hear other people talk about this, and for sure, I know this is a place where I can look at my own life and be grateful. I know I can look at my own life and say, okay, I can learn from this other person's experience, and I can say, wow, that's happened for them. I definitely don't want that to happen for me. So I'm going to benefit from their experience, their contrast. I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, I know this isn't something I want to entertain. And use it to your benefit. Don't be the person that has to run into every wall in order to learn something. And understand, contrast is here to teach us, so you can learn from yourself in your own situations with contrast, you can learn from others, but just look and learn. And I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow.